guys here today showing you how to replace a window regulator on a 2012 Mazda CX-7. There is only one generation of CX-7 that I am aware of. These were made from 2005 and I think they were made up until 2013. So yeah, this one has the you roll down the window and it's making kind of like a clicking, grinding kind of noise, or the window just stops going down. Obviously the motor works, so for some reason I could not get this at my local parts store. They wouldn't sell it with the motor on it, so I only was able to buy the regulator. Fortunately for me, the motor actually does work, and the regulator is bad, so this worked out for me. I just bought a regulator. It was about 80 bucks. So you won't need too many special tools for this. For sure you'll need a flathead screwdriver. You'll need either someone else to help you hold the glass up, or use tape. If you don't have anybody with you, I usually use tape. And then you'll need a 10mm socket for sure. So the first thing you'll want to do is also you need a Phillips screwdriver. Right down here where you grab handle, there's a Phillips head screw that you can just take and loosen up down here, like so. Just a little screw like that. Then you'll go on ahead and get a flathead screwdriver, and right behind the door handle here, you have to hold the door handle. There's a plastic cover, but that's back here. If you stick your screwdriver right behind the door lock, you'll be able to get this here little cover out. It can be a little tricky sometimes, but you see this is the cover that's back here, and it will reveal a Phillips screw right here. So you can go ahead and loosen that one up as well and take it out. Okay, next you want to remove this here cover. Most of the time you could just take and pop it straight off, like so. It's just held on, it's popped in the top, and then down here, this little notch, so you need to pop it out and then pull it up, and then it'll come out. You don't need to loosen up anything over here. This just gives you room to be able to lift the door panel off. So now you would take a flathead screwdriver, and along the perimeter of the door, I usually start either here or maybe on this side if you can get a good hold. Yeah, there's a good place to get a hold over here. You want to just pull the door panel, with some force, so that you can break it off of the door. There's clips that hold it on. You'll probably hear them popping now. And that's pretty much all there is. Now you just take and lift the door panel, pull it away, and lift the door panel up off of the door. You got to be careful because there's still wires that are attached. And so in the back of the door here, you can go on ahead and pop this out. And there's one connector that's right here. You'll need to push down on the tab and pull it out. Like so. And then you can just feed the door handles through the hole there. So that's just hanging here. And then now you'll notice on the back of the door panel, here, there's going to be all these wires that go to the window switch and whatnot. They're going to be the same as this connector you just took off. You just pretty much push a tab and remove them. So go on ahead and remove all three of them now. Okay, now that you got the door panel off, you could just leave the door lock here, or excuse me, the handle. Just leave it hanging. Don't need to touch it at all. You'll be looking at, this is the window motor right here. So if you just have to, if you only have to replace the window motor, that would be this guy right here. You would just disconnect this connector here, which I'm going to have to do anyway. there's just 3 10mm screws that are holding it on. So if you only have to replace the motor and your regulator is fine, meaning that if the window goes up and down, fine, but when you push the switch, maybe your motor doesn't work, then just take out these 3 10mm screws, take off the connector, then pop your new window motor on and put the connector back on and test the window out to see if it works. But since my regulator is broken, I'm going to go ahead and remove this 10mm screws. Now you have to be careful here because this is where the window is probably going to want to you know, fall down. So just have someone hold it for you. You can just pull that out like this and then disconnect the connector by pushing the little tab in. Like so. Okay, so now when we're looking at the door panel here, the regulator is only held on by 2 screws. There's this screw right here, or excuse me, this 10mm nut and this 10mm nut right here. But in order to, you need to be able to detach the window from the regulator. So right now you should be able to manually push this up and down, and obviously this right here is going to spin. But what you need to do right now is push this all the way down to where you see these 2 plastic caps right here. You're going ahead and pop these off. They're just rubber, like rubber plastic caps. Take both of them off. This way you'll have access to the two bolts that are holding the window to the regulator. So push this down enough to where you'll be able to see the white piece coming through here, and then right here, if you stop it, you'll see that there are 2 right in these holes. There are 2 10mm bolts. You'll need to loosen both these bolts up and remove them, and then you can push the window all the way back up to the top and use tape to hold it on the top. Make sure that you're holding this when you're loosening up the last one, because you don't want the glass to fall down into the door. Okay, now that I have both the screws loose, like I said, pull this all the way back up, and you're gonna have to have somebody hold it or get some tape and place it over the window so that you can hold it into place. Otherwise the glass is just gonna fall down. Okay, now that we got the window taped up and secure, now we can focus on getting the regulator out. So you'll notice, like I told you before, the 2 10mm screws are holding the regulator in. You can go ahead and loosen both of these up. Your window regulator will most likely drop down into the door. That's completely fine, nothing's going to get hurt. So now the window regulator is loose, but in order to get the window regulator out, we need to remove this plastic here. As you can tell, there's a lot of wires that are running all over the place. I'm going to try and minimize the amount of things you need to take off. Over here on the very left of the door, for the power lock actuators, you need to disconnect both of these connectors that are here. Just pop the pins in and pull them out. Don't worry about this one here, we can leave that alone. I'm trying to take off as least amount as possible. Then I'm going to go ahead and loosen up all of the 10mm screws, not these ones, only the ones that are holding this plastic on. I'm going to loosen those up all on this side in hopes that I can just pull this back a little bit and pull the regulator out. You can go on ahead and disconnect the connector for the power window as well. Okay, so I went on ahead and just took off all of the 10mm screws that are holding this black plastic on. You can get in behind here and pull it back some, and then go ahead and remove the regulator out. Oh, there's one black Phillips screw right here that's holding this on as well. This screw you just loosen up, and then you can pull it out, and then the piece behind it should pop up. Okay, if you go on ahead now and pull this back, you should be able to pull this all the way off, get the old regulator out here. Okay, we got the old regulator out now. So we're going to go ahead and slide the new regulator into place. Okay, now before you stick the new regulator into the door, what you actually want to do is you take the regulator and place it into the two holes that it belongs into, and hand tighten the nuts, so that way you know that they stay in the correct place before you put it back into the door. Also, you want to make sure that this gear here is inserted into the correct spot before you put it back into the door. After you do that, go on ahead and reinstall this back and slide it back up into place. It should just slide back into place, and then you can go on ahead and put all the 10mm screws back into place. Okay, don't forget to reconnect the connectors back. They just push right back into place. Same for the side view mirror. Okay, now the next thing you want to do is to untape your window, and then go on ahead and slide it back down to where it meets the two holes that are in the door again down here, so that you can put the two 10mm screws back in place. Please take your time, that way you don't accidentally drop the glass into the door and break the glass. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. You also got to make sure that the window stays correctly in the track as it's going down. Okay, now that you got these back intact, you can go on ahead and put the rubber covers back into place. Now you can go on ahead and take your window motor and reinstall it back into place. There is a little notch that's here on this piece of plastic that needs to slide into this here squared notch hole. You may have to pull your window up and down to get the gears to line up correctly. Okay, now that you've got the motor back on with the three 10mm bolts and the connector reinstalled, you can go on ahead and grab your door panel and stick it back into place. The door panel kind of has a U on the top of it that sits down right on top of the door on the metal up top here that you'll see. So it kind of hooks into place, and then you can push it down onto the door on the bottom. Don't forget to reconnect the 3 main connectors first. Then you can go on ahead and feed the door handle back through the hole. Also, don't forget to connect the connector that goes into the door lock switch here. You got to feed it through the same hole. Okay, so as I said, this door panel just hangs right down on top of the door. Don't forget to feed the small wire through here, through the same hole for the door lock, so that the door locks work. You can pop this guy right here back into place where it was. And then what you'll do is just take and push pretty hard on the bottom of the door. That way all the clips and whatnot sit into place. And then you'll go on ahead and reinstall the Phillips screw right here and the Phillips screw right here. And don't forget to pop the small plastic cover into place. Lastly, you'll take the cover that goes by the mirror up here. Remember, it slides down, and then you push it, pop it into this little piece here. Just like so. Okay, so that's pretty much all there is to it right there. After you get the door panel back on and the screws tightened up, the ones that go behind the door handle and in the pull handle there, you can go on ahead and turn on the key, make sure that it works, and you should be done with that. So that's all there is to it. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them in the comment section below. If this is your first time to the channel, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. If you like this, please hit that like button, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button on the way out. Thanks guys, appreciate it.